Hi there. Christmas is fast approaching, and that means we have to make sure Santa and his elves manage to deliver presents to children all over the world. The elves usually get in all sorts of trouble, and we have to solve a series of problems to make it to Christmas Day. Welcome to Advent of Code 2022. We have 25 days of algorithm challenges to keep you busy and save Christmas. You can solve these in any programming language you want. I'm going to be using JavaScript for this. And the problems are going to get harder as we get closer to Christmas. In these videos, I'm going to give you the solution, but most importantly, my thought process for each problem. So let's get started. Each challenge usually has a story behind it, but I'm not going to go through the story because it's usually very long. But the gist of it is, in the first day, we have a number of elves. Each elf is carrying food, and we want to know who is carrying the most food. So an elf typically is the value of food here that you have until an empty line. So elf number 1 has a food item with 1,000 calories, another food item with 2,000, and another with 3,000. In total, elf number 1 is carrying 6,000 calories. Elf number 2, 4,000. Elf number 3, 11,000. Elf number 4, 24,000, and the last elf, 10,000. So what we're interested to find the elf with the most calories, which is elf number 4, and to output the sum of those calories, which is 24,000. So let's get started. First, we're gonna need something we can iterate over. So we have to transform our data set to an array. So I'll be using the split function from the string object. So we're gonna go like this. This will give us something we can iterate over, and then we're gonna need two variables to hold the information we have for the biggest calories and the current calories in an elf that we have to calculate. So these are going to be variables. Current calories, it's 0. The second one is going to be total calories, again 0. Here I have a total by elf. So it's not the total overall. And then we're going to iterate through the lines. Each is a food item, and we want to make sure that it's an actual food item and not an empty line. So if the food item exists, here we're just gonna count the calories. So the calories, and we have to turn it into a number. Food item. If it's an empty space, that means we have reached the end of that elf, and we have to verify if the current elf calories is bigger than the total. So we just do a ternary expression. If current elf calories are bigger than the total, that means we're gonna keep the current elf, otherwise we keep the total. Just mistake here. And we have to make sure to reset the value of current elf categories back to 0. Then we output the result, the total calories, and run that in the terminal. Here it is, 24,000. This is the first part. Usually each challenge has two parts, and the second part is going to be a little bit trickier. Not for today, but as we go forward. So in part 2, the elf realized that one elf is not enough, and they want to know the top 3 elves that are carrying food. So for us, that means we just have to, instead of keeping the total in one variable, we have to use a different type of data structure. So let's say top 3 calories elves is a dictionary, and here we have 3 keys, 1, 2, and 3. All 3 of them are 0 by default. And we're gonna copy our function. The first part is exactly the same. We're gonna count the current elf calories, but instead of just setting that value in one variable, we have to check first if it's bigger than the first one. So we're gonna say current elf calories bigger than what we have in 1. So what happens now? We found out that our current elf categories is bigger than the elf at position 1. We need to set this in position 1, and then the elf that is in position 1 needs to occupy position 2, the elf in position 2 needs to occupy position 3, and so forth. If it would have asked for the multiple types of elf, we could have used a different data structure and just push the value in front of it, and then you had like a sorted list. So the first thing we're gonna do is the elf number 3 is gonna take the value from number 2, and then value number 2 is gonna take the top 1 position, and the top 1 position is gonna take the value in the current category. And then we do this again for elf number 2. So elf number 3 takes value from 2, and 2 takes the current elf calories. And lastly, if it's bigger than number 3, we don't need to downgrade anything. Number 3 takes the current value. We reset this here. We also have to reset it before we start. And then we need to console log the sum of the big 3 elves. So let's create sum is top 3 category elves. And then we output the result. So for us in our small input data set, this would be the first one, this would be the second one, 11,000, and the last one would be the last in top 3. So the total of all of them is 45,000 calories. We can output this. Let me just console log total categories by elf. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I need to output the sum. And it's 45,000. Thank you, and this has been day 1. Subscribe and like if you want to see more of Advent Coding Solution. Have a nice day.